all our pea soup needs right now is the split peas and the chicken stock. So let's get that in there. You want to put about 2.5 liters worth of chicken stock in there. I like to use chicken stock because it tends to be the most neutral stock that you can have. It pairs really well with pork. It's light, it's fragrant. So I typically will use chicken stock, but you can use anything from a beef stock to a veggie stock. My preference is chicken stock. So just get that over the fire again. The pea soup has about 45 minutes to cook. It's going to thicken. Now you can choose at that point whether you want to actually puree this pea soup, or you can leave it nice and chunky with the peas throughout it, but you want your peas to be relatively melted down and not grainy. And you also want to remove that ham hock. Now you can choose to tear up the ham hock and put it into the soup. You can put it on top as a garnish afterwards. That's really up to you. That's all personal preference. I like to tear it up and put it on top. That's my preference.
We're looking at pairing with a pea soup. Sometimes it's challenging with a hot pea soup and that sort of thing, but pea soup has some nice bacon, some earth thickness to it. So we picked a wine and a grape variety that is nice and thick and will match well with the pea soup. So we chose Pinot Blanc. Pinot Blanc is a single grape that is grown in cool climates, such as Canada and most notably Alsace in Germany. So it has a nice cool citrus, thick viscosity that comes from the thick skins of the grapes. So the two wines that we have here, is the one closest to me, is from Okanagan. Okanagan grows great Pinot Blanc. This is from Mission Hill. And then we also have Paul's Inc. Pinot Blanc from Alsace. Alsace region is very, very cold. It is France, but it's right next to the Germany border, so it's a nice cool climate wine. So this is the Pinot Blanc from Canada. It's got a really nice natural color to it. Some of the more expensive Pinot Blancs are aged in oak, but there's no oak aging whatsoever in this wine, and it gets its natural color from its skins. This is the Alsatian one from France. You notice a little bit lighter in color. But both great Pinot Blancs. The Canadian one has more citrus, more depth of flavor and that sort of thing, which is really, really good and fresh. The one from Alsace has a bit more of a diesel quality to it and earthiness. Depending if you wanted the Canadian version, the citrus, the fresh fruit sort of characteristics to cut through the richness of the pea soup, or you can go with the Alsatian, which has more deep, darker flavors, more viscous, more petrol to go with the earthiness of the soup. But both choices of Pinot Blanc would be great with a pea soup and to enjoy on a nice cold day.
So now we're going to make a pâté brisé to house our tourtière meat. A pâté brisé is just another term for a pie shell. It consists of flour, almost frozen butter, water, and salt. Now the reason why you want almost frozen butter is because it'll give you these little pea-sized shapes of butter in your dough, which will give you a flakier dough. After we've mixed it, we're going to let it rest for a half hour in the fridge. It'll allow your flour to hydrate, and you'll get those glutinous bonds that you want in your dough. After that, we'll roll it out. We'll put our meat in. We'll top it off by using egg yolk to seal it, and then to also give it that nice sheen on top, and we'll stick it in the oven to finish it off. Now that our dough is rested up, taking it out of the fridge, we're going to roll it out. So what we want to do is we want to make a base and we want to make a top. So you start by spreading a little bit of flour on your cutting board or on your surface, a flat surface, rolling out the bottom to maybe about 3 millimeters, and then rolling out to the top to about the exact same. So let's get started on that. I'm going to break off a piece for the top. what you want is a flaky dough, so try to roll it out as fast as possible without working it too much. I like to use a springform pan when making my tortillere because it helps it release easier, and if you want to present it as a big piece of pie on a plate, or a big pie on a plate, it's easier to actually just get out the entire pie from the pan. There are certain pie shells that you can make that will use vodka as opposed to water. That'll add to your flakiness. Vodka evaporates at a faster rate than water does, thus giving you a flakier pie shell. This one here we just used water, but it's your choice. There's many recipes out there. Now that the top is finished, we're just going to finish putting together the tortillere. That means putting the meat inside, egg washing it, and we'll just get it right into the oven. Okay, now we're just going to add our meat to the tortillere. Looks really nice. Looks like there's a lot of moisture in there. You got some chunks, but that should be okay. Potatoes look well cooked. Now don't be afraid to pat it down, so just smooth it out and pat it down. Now that we got our meat in there, we'll put the top on. Let's get our egg wash here. So you're just going to brush the edges with an egg yolk. When we're doing this, we're just going to use egg yolk to seal up our tortillere. I use typically about 2 egg yolks per tortillere, one for sealing the edges, like so. And then the rest just for coating the top of the tortillere. Just gives it a nice gloss on top. Gives it a nice shine, it presents well. After that, we'll just give it a couple vent holes. Now you can do whatever design you want in the top, but as long as it's vented so that it doesn't explode in the oven, you're relatively good. So just a couple of vents here, a vent here. We'll make it look like crosshairs. And our tortillere is ready to go into the oven. Now that we have our tortillere vented, we're going to put it into the oven. We're going to put it in at about 325 for 45 minutes. And by the time that's done, our pea soup will be ready and we'll be ready for service. So let's get this in the oven.